Hey guys, this is Pedro back with another interview, this time covering VCT Pacific Stage 1 for playoffs. My guest at this time is Crws of Talon, coming off of their match against Nongshim RedForce, in which they came out on the victorious and thus moving on into the next round of the lower bracket inset competition. So Crws, thank you so much for the opportunity. And yeah, it was a very hard fought series and one in which, as you kind of iterated in the press conference a few moments ago, a tough challenge, but it was one in which you guys were able to overcome. And so, just kind of talking about the opponent that was in NS, and given that it is a team that is someone that you faced the third time so far in this year, how did this contest compare or differ from the previous two occasions in terms of difficulty level, in terms of like the challenge that they brought in preparation and everything else besides that, or on top of that?
I th- I think this time it has always been harder every time we play them. I think they are very they learn a lot from the last few games. So every time they'll always change or adapt to something that they made mistakes in the last game. So it's always a better version of them every time we play them. But I think it's the amount of experience I have against like the teams like Gen G, T1, against like the more experienced IGL, which gives me an edge on them that I know that what are they going to do in their next step, and I already prepared my team to do that in scrims and everything like that. So we have like a good head start compared to them, where I think his IGL is their IGL figured it out, but then it's hard to explain what we are doing and hard to try to micro for other people in the team.
I think in that sense, like when you look at how the team kind of when the opposing team kind of looked at how difficult it was to counter you guys at the later stages of the series, such as Ascent. I think that kind of became the main difference between winning and losing. Just sort of like being clutch in these kind of critical moments. Do you kind of feel like that was like the difference maker?
I think the difference maker is understanding what they're trying to do, what their goal is, and try to get away from their goal as much as possible. Being not trying to force them to, not trying to force ourselves to fight them in the early stage. Bait out some util, force them to re-clear. Now they have no util for retake, and then they starve information, and then we have the guys to just shoot them in the face, because I think that's our strength, because all our players are very good mechanically. So I think that gave us an edge.
Oh, for sure. I mean, taking a closer look onto this series, it was one in which, as a result of like having faced Ennis a few times, it's all out of comp switches, both on your end and also on their end. And starting off on that, I mean, we kind of saw like you guys now adopt more of the deadlock kind of composition, and also pairing that up with Tejo, those two main changes, and also like it fared pretty well for you to say the least. Starting off with a 9-3 half and then having to go through a little bit of a hiccup there on the second half of the map on defense side, but you guys were able to claw your way out of it. How have you viewed the effectiveness of this comp switch on Haven?
I think it's more of like the understanding of the agent from me and my teammates, like how we should play together, how we stop a turn, and I think everybody just understand it well enough to be able to do it and adapt it to like whatever they're giving us. Um, it's more of like if you read a book and then you understand the concept of the book, you'll be able to summarize the book, right? But in some other comps, we're just doing it to do it, and then we don't really understand why we're doing it. So I think the synergy between Deadlock and Tail that we have the understanding of, um, made our lives easier to adapt, to stay away from like all these antis and stuff like that.
Oh, for sure. And then like after that, you guys went to Pearl, and then you guys lost again, and unfortunate that it was. But in a way, it gave it was the proving ground, or more so, it set the foundation for what would happen in Ascent. And kind of a similar question that I asked you about Haven, but more so towards Ascent. And also on top of that, like it's this series was just a series of runs in which a team would start like winning a pistol, and then they would take the momentum for like 5 or 6 rounds, and then after that, the other team would win, and they would go on a run for like 6 or 7 kind of rounds consecutively. I mean, it just proved to be very difficult to switch the momentum to your team's favor. And so, two-part question: how have you viewed the switch to in comps in Ascent, and also how difficult it was to kind of claw your way out of like going through these runs, and just having to then formulate a run of your own?
I think it would have gone very bad if our adjustments were not on point, because seeing how they played it, it's a very tricky comp, and they are masking everything very well. Like, they're acting as if this place is heavy, and then they walk up and surprise us somewhere else. But then after we figure it out, like, we challenge them more, force them to like face us. It shows that what is real and what is not to all our teammates, and which is probably why we have the confidence to play, because we know what's coming after that. So I think it's a very thin line that if we don't figure that out in time and it goes like 6-0, 8-0, even though we figure them out by then, it's probably too little too late, and then it's going to be another half that we need to figure them out, and then it's going to be just extremely hard to crawl back into the game, which I think that's what happened in Pearl, because we didn't really figure out what to do. I think our attack could have been much better if we didn't have such a bad half on defense. Yeah.
Speaks to the level of complexity there is in the highest level of competitive Valorant, and is one in which obviously like you've shown to be a good IGL on that front. And now I kind of want to switch over to just sort of the state of the team. And I believe Frost, or maybe yourself, brought up a good point in the press conference, post match press conference, about like there being just having to adapt, or just with the incoming players into the squad at the start of this year, such as Tai and Kilua, and having to bring them up to speed to the way you do things and the way the rest of the team does things. And in a lot of ways, like it builds that camaraderie, it builds that synergy that this team is able to then show onto the main server. But in a lot of ways, it's done so in a format in VCT this year in which you can't really make these kinds of changes and expect for results to come very quickly. And it just brings about like a double-edged sword of having to like do these changes, do these adjustments, while also having to deal with so little time. And also on top of that, when you guys are losing, then it just brings about the pressure of just winning. Simple as that. How have you viewed the challenge of just having to go through this situation of having to bring in these type of new players while also dealing with the risk of having so little time to do it?
First of all,
First of
I
all, I
think
think
I've been
I've been
very
very
frustrated,
frustrated.
and when we lose, when we don't read the game well, but also on the other hand, like, I can't be expecting too much from them, because what we're doing is very long term. And I think the good thing about our management is that I think they also view it as a long term project. They don't really need to win right now, but they need to see improvement. And the boys has been showing like great improvement. We have not been making the same mistakes again and again all over the place. So it kind of makes us feel like a bit better that we made the right choice. But for me and Frost, I think both of us really, really want to win now, because of the fact that we're old and we don't really have much time. But uh, I'm just gonna say that I think it's just nature. I just need to be here to teach them what I know, to give them the knowledge they need to, and I just hope that one day, maybe tomorrow, we figure it all out, and then we don't need to lose to actually gain that experience. Um, as in, like, if we were to gain those experience, but still grind out those rounds, I think that's the best way that this could possibly go, and I just hope that's the case.
Sure, I want to squeeze in one more question. It's gonna be very quick. In regards to what happens in stage one in the future tomorrow, or everything beyond that, what do you feel is the one thing that the team should kind of learn? And had you guys, if you guys were able to cover that, then it might give you a feeling of like, okay, sure, we might fail, but at least we got this, and we can take this for stage two.
Um,
Um,
I think
I
there's
think
a
there's a
lot to
lot to
learn.
learn.
Like, there's just too many things to learn because the adjustment that I've been making, it also comes down to each and every player. Like, the things I'm doing myself in the game, the util I'm throwing, is also an adjustment that they should also make, which it doesn't come naturally. It comes by getting hit by all sorts of different styles, getting hit by, you know, DRX and GT1. Like, Koreans are playing this particular way, but then other countries are like playing a different way. How to adapt to that? They need to be able to learn all that. So I think it's a lot of things. Like, I can't really pinpoint which one, but I think that we need to be able to be more flexible in our agent pool, because I feel like it's it's gonna cost us more in the future. Yeah, I think that is the key to building this team in a successful way. That they need to be able to experience like the hardship of learning and figuring it out, trying to understand why you're doing what you're doing, and then they'll be able to adapt it. Because when you learn it, when you know it, it doesn't matter what agent you play. Like, for example, you play Teo today, tomorrow you play KO, but you understand the gist of it. Like, why are you playing this character? What's his ability good for? And then you'll be able to know what to do right after that. So yeah, I think that's the main idea.
For sure. Thank you so much, Cruz, for the interview. Really do appreciate it, and best of luck goes to yourself for the future.
Thank you.
Thank you.